Hello, welcome to all of you to Vignan's Foundation for Science, Technology and Research, deemed to be University. Myself N. Bharat Kumar, working as Assistant Professor in the Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering. So these are the contents we are going to discuss in today's class. The first one, we are going to introduce about Kirchhoff's laws. Next, we are going to study about Kirchhoff's current law. Next, we are going to study about Kirchhoff's voltage law. Next, we will study about the series circuits. And next, we are going to study about the parallel circuits. And finally, we will solve some simple problems on these laws and series and parallel circuits. So these are the contents that we are going to concentrate in today's class. So let's go to the first concept. So let us go to the first concept. The first concept we are going to study is Kirchhoff's law. So this Kirchhoff's law has been introduced by Gustav Robert Kirchhoff. He is a German physicist in 18th century. So basically these Kirchhoff's laws will give general restrictions on the current and voltage in an electrical circuit. So they mainly deals with this current and voltage. So the two basic laws of Kirchhoff's have been derived are, one is Kirchhoff's current law based upon current, next one is Kirchhoff's current law. We will simply call Kirchhoff's current law as KCL and Kirchhoff's voltage law as KVL. So these are the two basic laws. So these laws were generalized from Ohm's law only. Till now we have studied only one law, which is called Ohm's law, and these KCL and KVL are the generalized form of Ohm's law. And we are going to say that these two laws, this Kirchhoff's current law and voltage law, KCL and KVL are the fundamental laws in electrical engineering. Now let us go to the first law. First law is nothing but KCL, Kirchhoff's current law. So we will state Kirchhoff's current law as the algebraic sum of all the currents meeting at a node is always equal to 0. So the algebraic sum of all the currents meeting at a node. So node is also called as junction. We already studied that one. So the statement of KCL is the algebraic sum of all the currents meeting at a node is always equal to 0. So mathematically we can express this as sigma I equal to 0. So sigma indicates this is nothing but summation. So sigma indicates the summation. So summation of all the currents meeting at a node is always equal to 0. So that is the mathematical expression for Kirchhoff's current law or KCL. So this statement, alternative way, the KCL can be stated in an alternative way as the sum of all the currents entering a node or junction is equal to sum of all the currents leaving a node or junction. Here we are not going to use the algebra term, but instead of that we are going to say that the sum of all the currents entering a node is equal to sum of all the currents leaving the node. Okay. So this statement can be expressed mathematically as sigma I entering. So that means the sum of the currents entering, sigma is nothing but summation. So I entering, that means all the currents that are entering will be added together. Similarly, all the currents that are leaving should be added together. The two must be equal. That is the alternative way of defining the statement. Now, what is the difference between these two? Algebra is considered here. Here there is no algebra term considered. What is meant by algebra? So here the word algebraic means that the signs of entering and leaving currents are included in the summation. So signs of the entering currents and leaving currents has to be included in the expression of the first statement. Now let us see one example here. So according to the first statement, to apply KCL as per the first statement, the sigma I is equal to 0 is the first statement. We need to assign polarities of the current values. So how we are going to assign the polarities? Incoming currents. So these incoming currents are the currents entering a node will be considered as negative. Outgoing currents are going to be considered as positive. So the values of the currents that are going into the node. So incoming currents are nothing but going into the node. So this is called entering currents. So the currents that are entering into the node are going to be considered as negative. Similarly, the outgoing currents, these outgoing currents are nothing but leaving currents. These leaving currents we are going to consider as positive. Entering currents considered as negative. So how we are going to assign the polarity sign? The incoming currents are entering currents. We are going to give a negative value, negative sign. For outgoing currents, we are going to give a positive sign. Then we can apply KCL according to the first statement. So consider a node here. So that is a node, and I am going to assume that I1 is entering, I2 is also entering, I3 is leaving, and I4 is leaving. So this current I1 is entering into the node. And what about I2? It is also entering. And this I3 and I4 both are leaving. Okay. So according to the definition, we are going to assign entering currents will be assigned negative. I1 will be treated as minus I1. What about I2? I2 is also entering. Enter means we have to assign a negative polarity I2 for I2 as minus. And I3, I4 both are leaving. Leaving means we have to assign a positive value for I3 and I4. Now we have to apply KCL according to the statement. So what is the statement here? Sum of all the currents meeting at a node is 0. So these all the currents are meeting. Meeting means either they are entering or leaving, whatever it may be. They are meeting at this node. So what are those currents meeting at the node? After polarity is assigned, these are the 4 currents that are meeting at the node. Now we have to sum and equal to 0 like this. By applying KCL, we are going to get minus I1, minus I2, plus I3, plus I4 equal to 0. So we are going to sum all the currents meeting at the node equal to 0. This is how you are going to apply KCL as per the. Okay. Now let us discuss the second statement. How you are going to apply KCL as per the second statement. Now alternatively, as per the second statement, what is the second statement? The sigma, sum of all the currents entering, is equal to sum of all the currents leaving. So when you are going to use the second statement, there is no need to use sign convention. Sign convention is not necessary, because we are going to simply add the entering currents, and we are going to simply add the leaving currents, and we are going to equal the two summations. Okay. Now in the same circuit here, I have considered the same example. What are the currents entering here? I1 and I2. These are the two currents entering. So what is sum of entering currents? So this is, so sigma I entering is nothing but I1 plus I2. And what are the currents leaving? I3 and I4. So these are the two currents leaving. Now we are going to add these two currents. According to the second statement, the sum of entering currents is equal to sum of leaving currents. Okay. So like this you can write. So sum of entering currents is equal to sum of leaving currents. Here there is no need of assigning polarities. So this is how you are going to apply KCL as per the two statements. So I will prefer the second statement, which is useful and which avoids confusion of assigning polarities. Okay. Next, we will do one example on KCL. So let us consider a circuit, electrical circuit like this. Here there are two current sources. I1 is one current source, this is one current source, this is the next second current source, and we are having a resistance R1. Now what is the voltage across R1? V1. Okay. So this is the circuit we have given. So we are having two current sources and one resistor value, and we know the voltage across resistor, that's it. That means we know the value of I1, we know the value of I2, we know the value of R1, and we know the value of voltage across R1. Okay. So according to the statement of KCL, KCL is always applied at a node. Please remember that. We have stated that at any node, all the currents meeting at any node is equal to 0, or sum of the currents entering a node or sum of entering a node equal to 0. That means we will always apply KCL at a node. So already you know about a node, how to identify the nodes in a circuit. So in this circuit we are having two nodes. Okay. So the current source is connected between 1 and 2. Similarly, the resistor is also connected between 1 and 2, and the source 2 is also connected between 1 and 2. That means we are having two nodes here. Okay. So there are two nodes in the given circuit. Now to each node, how many elements are connected or how many branches are connected? The first node is connected to I1 source as well as the resistor R1 and I2 source. So this node 1 is connected to I1, R1, I2. Similarly, the node 2 is connected to other terminals of the same three elements. The second terminal of I1 is connected to node 2, the second terminal of R1 is connected to node 2, and the second terminal of I2 is connected. So that means there are two nodes in the circuit, and each node is connected to three branches, 1, 2, 3. Here also 1, 2 and 3. Now apply KCL at node 1. So you have to apply KCL. There are two nodes here, you can apply KCL at any node. First we will apply KCL at node 1. If you want to apply KCL at node 1, you have to know the currents. What are the directions of current? What are how the currents are entering into the node and how the currents leaving into the node. So from the circuit diagram you can see here I1 is entering into node 1. If you clearly we can say that, because for source, current source, always the direction is indicated. So that means the current here is entering into node 1. And if you come to node 2, source 2 here I2, here also the current is I1 is entering, here also the current is entering into node 1. So the current I2 is also entering into node 1. Now what about the current in the third branch? So there is no indication given about the current direction. How you are going to choose? I am going to choose that the current is leaving here. So because when there is no direction of current given, always you have to choose that the current is leaving. Okay, always choose that the current is leaving from the node, because here there is no direction given, that's why I have chosen the current direction as leaving. So always choose I3 as leaving the node. Now if you apply KCL, so what is KCL according to the second statement? I will follow always second statement. Sum of the currents entering is equal to sum of the currents leaving. Here what are the currents entering? I1 is entering and I2 entering. And what are the currents leaving? I3 is leaving. So I1 plus I2 is equals to I3. This is how you are going to apply KCL by second statement. In this expression, what are the values we know? We know I1 and we know I2. But what is this third current I3? That we don't know. We have assumed that the current is leaving, and this is an assumption. This is a variable quantity that we have assumed that we don't know. Now how will you calculate I3? So if you want to calculate I3, first see here the I3 is the current going into R1. Since the current I3 is going into the resistor R1, and we already know about the resistance value and V1. Now here there are three variables. One is R1, one is V1 and I3. These three will relate by, yes, we know that those three variables are related by Ohm's law. So from Ohm's law, we can say that I3 is nothing but V1 by R1. So we know I1, we know I2, and I3 is calculated from this expression. Okay, that's how you are going to apply KCL at node 1. Similarly, you can apply KCL at node 2. How will you apply KCL at node 2? At node 2, I will assume that I3, since I3 is leaving from node 1, the same current will enter into node 2. We cannot, once we have assigned the direction, we cannot change the direction. So if I have assigned that I3 is entering into node 1, the same current flows to the resistor and enter into node 2. So I3 will enter here. And in this, the current source is always this I1 and I2 current source directions are already given. So this I1 source is always leaving node 2 because it is entering node 1. That's why at node 2 the I1 will leave. What about finally that I2 current? I2 will also leave from node 2 as per the direction given. If we apply node 2 here, so sum of the currents entering is equal to sum of the currents leaving. So we can say that I3 is equal to I1 plus I2. Now here the unknown I3 will be calculated. The same the I3 will be calculated by Ohm's law already given. So this is how we are going to apply KCL in any given electrical circuit. Okay. So let us solve once again the same problem. So this is the given circuit. The given values. What are the given values here? We know the values. Given values are I1, I2, R1 and V1. So these values are given. That means we know those 4 values. First, if you want to apply KCL in any circuit, you have to identify the number of nodes. So in the given circuit there are 3 nodes. This is one node, 2 nodes, sorry. This is second node. So this is not a node. Why? Because here there is no element connected. The same current source has been connected to the node 1 here. It is not a node and it is also not a node because here there is no element connected between these 2 nodes. The same I2 is going to be connected to node 1 here. So there are 2 nodes in the circuit. If you want to apply KCL at any node, first you have to know the current directions. The I1 current is entering into node 1. So the current I1 is entering. And here the I2 current is entering into node 1. What about the current in third branch? We don't know. So that's why I am going to assume that the current I3 through the resistance R1. So I3, that is the other variable which we don't know. So the I3 we doesn't know. We know these values. Now if you apply KCL at node 1, so I will always prefer second statement, which is nothing but sigma of entering currents is equal to sum of leaving currents. Sum of entering currents is equal to sum of leaving currents. Here I1 and I2 are entering. So the entering currents are I1 and I2. So we are going to add those 2 currents. And we are going to equate this to the leaving current. There is only one leaving current which is called I3. So I3 is leaving. This is how you are going to apply KCL. And this I3 can be evaluated from Ohm's law. Because the I3 is the current that is flowing through resistance R1. And here the voltage across R1 is V1. And voltage resistance are always related by means of Ohm's law as I3 is equals to V1 by R1. Like this you are going to apply KCL. I think now you are very much clear about this KCL. All of you try to apply KCL at node 2 on your own and practice that. Thank you. Next one, Kirchhoff's voltage law, KVL. So first one, the statement. Like KCL, here also there are 2 statements. Okay. The algebraic sum of all the branch voltages in a closed path is always equal to 0. See here, the algebraic sum of all the branch voltages. So where we are going to calculate all these branch voltages in a closed path. So in KCL, we have done the algebraic sum of all the currents. But in KVL, we are doing the algebraic sum of all the voltages across each element. There we have added the currents at a node. That means the KCL is applied at a node or junction. But here the KVL is going to be applied around a closed path. So all the voltages we are going to add which are present in a closed path. And that addition must always be equal to 0. That is the statement of KVL. So the algebraic sum of all the branch voltages in a closed path is always equal to 0. Mathematically, you can express sigma V equal to 0. So sigma V equal to 0 means the summation of all the voltages. We are not going to we are not bothering about the signs here. We will discuss about signs about polarities later. Present, remember that the sum of all the voltages in a closed path is 0. Next, the alternative statement. Alternatively, we can state the KVL as the sum of all the voltage rises is equal to sum of all the voltage drops. In KCL, the sum of entering currents is equal to sum of leaving currents. But here in KVL, the sum of all the voltage is equal to sum of all the voltage drops. Voltage rise means the voltage increase, the value is going to be increase. Drop means where the voltage is going to be dropped. So mathematically we can express this statement as sigma V rise is equal to sigma V drop. Okay. So these are the two ways of stating KVL. The first statement we are going to do the algebraic sum of all the voltages. In the second statement we are going to do the summation separately. So individual voltage rises and individual voltage drops, then we will go to equate those two sums. Now here, just like KCL, the algebra indicates that the term algebraic is nothing but we are going to include the signs. We are going to include the signs of voltage drops and voltage rises here itself. So the word algebra means that the signs of the voltage drops and rises are going to be included in the summation. Now let's see how we are going to apply this. First, before going to applying KVL, let us discuss about this voltage rise and voltage drop clearly. So let us discuss about voltage rise. So here I have considered a source Vs, and in this source the current is going towards right. That means the current is moving from negative polarity to positive polarity. See, the current is moving from negative polarity to positive polarity. That means negative value to positive value. So negative to positive means increase or decrease. Always it is increase. Negative value means minus 2. For example, minus 2 to 5. What is this indicates? It will always say that the number is increasing. Similarly here also, when the current is moving from negative terminal to positive terminal, we can say that there is a voltage rise across this source. That's why we are going to consider that the voltage is rising here. So voltage rise. For voltage rises, we are going to allocate a positive sign. Okay. Next, consider the same voltage source. Here the current is flowing from positive terminal to negative terminal. That means the current is moving from high value, plus value to minus value, which is nothing but the voltage is going to be drop across this source. So in this case, we are going to consider that it is a voltage drop. Voltage drop, we are going to always assign minus sign. In case of sources, how we are going to consider voltage drop and voltage rise? Because when there is a source in the circuit, for the source we are always going to mention the polarity. So according to polarity, we can decide whether the voltage is rising or dropping across that particular source. So in the first case, I have considered that the current is flowing from negative to positive terminal, minus to plus. So when the current is moving from minus to plus means always it is increasing. Increasing means we are going to consider it as voltage rise and we are going to assign a plus sign. In the second case, here the current, I have assumed that the current is moving from positive terminal to negative terminal. Since the current is moving from plus to minus, we are going to consider that the value is decreasing. So when it is decreasing, we are going to consider it as voltage drop and we have assigned a minus sign here. This is about source. If there is like resistor, in case of resistor, we are not going to give any polarity or we are not going to give any current direction. Then how we are going to consider? Because resistor is a passive element. We already know that the resistor is a passive element. Passive element means it always consumes power. It always absorbs power. Whenever the current is flowing through a resistor, always there is a voltage drop across that resistor, because the resistor will always consumes, it will always takes power. So according to Ohm's law, what is the voltage across resistor when a current I is flowing through it? V is equal to I into R. That drop, that voltage is going to be converted into heat across this resistor. That's why across resistor always voltage is going to be dropped. You are going to assign minus sign, and the current is always moves from positive to negative terminal. Please keep this in mind. Across resistor, because it is a passive element, voltage will drop. Okay. So since it is dropping, the current should always move from positive to negative. And we are going to assign a negative sign for this voltage drop. Okay. This is all about voltage drop and voltage rise. Now let us apply the concept in a circuit. So I have considered a circuit like this, where there are 3 resistors and 1 source. So if you observe clearly in the circuit, the source is having polarities. So plus and minus polarity is already given. But what about the resistors R1, R2, R3? They have not given polarity. So that means we have to assign polarities first. If you want to apply KVL, you have to know where the voltage is rising and where the voltage is going to be dropped. Because here also I am going to use the second statement, because the first statement uses always signs. So that's why it's better to use the second statement. For source, the polarities are given, and we already know that the source will deliver power. And what about the resistors? This R1, R2, R3. These 3 resistors are passive elements. They will consume power. In case of source, the current will always move from negative to positive, because it is the direction is not mentioned here, current direction. Since it is an active element and the source will always deliver power, the current will always move from the positive terminal. And this current, whichever coming from the source, it will go through all the resistors in clockwise direction like this. Since the current is coming from the source, so the current will go through the resistor here, and go through the resistor 2, go through the resistor 3, and back to the source. So the current will move in a clockwise direction. I have identified the number of nodes here, and I will start at any node and add the voltages. So I will start from node 1. How the current is entering into resistor from node 1? The current is going to be enter like this. So always the entering terminal should be given positive sign. Please keep remember that in case of a passive element, when the current is entering into that element, that terminal is going to be given a positive sign. Since current is entering here, we are going to give a positive sign. And where the current is leaving, it is leaving from the secondary terminal. From the second terminal of the resistor, the current is leaving. For that terminal, we are going to give a negative sign. Similarly, in case of resistance R2, so we are going to assign the first current entering terminal as positive, current leaving terminal as negative. Similarly, in case of resistor 3, the current entering terminal we are going to assign as positive here, and current leaving terminal we are going to assign as negative. Okay. In source, we already know the polarities, plus and minus. You cannot change that signs. Okay. Now, let us decide the voltage drops and voltage rises. If you consider the first resistor here, R1, how the current is entering? Current is entering from positive and current is leaving from negative terminal. That means current is moving from plus to minus. Current is moving from plus to minus. Plus to minus means positive value to negative value means voltage drop always. That's why we are going to consider the voltage drop across resistor as minus V1. That's easy to assign signs here. In case of according to first statement, it is very difficult to assign signs. Now consider the second resistor R2. Here also the current is entering from positive terminal and leaving through negative terminal. That means current is moving from plus to minus. Plus to minus means drop again. That's why we have assigned minus V2. Now what about R3? In R3 also current is entering from plus and leaving from minus. That means it is moving from plus to minus. So that's why it is minus V3. It is also a drop. Coming to the source. So in case of source here, how the current is moving? Current is moving upwards. That means from minus to plus. Negative polarity to positive polarity. That means it is rise. That's why we have assigned positive sign. So this is how you are going to calculate the voltage rise and voltage drops across each element in a resistor. Now you can apply KVL. So because we know the voltages across all the elements present in the given circuit. The voltage across Vs is, the voltage across source is plus Vs, across R1 is minus V1, across R2 is minus V2, across R3 is minus V3. So if you apply KVL, the sum of the rises is nothing but Vs. The drops is nothing but V1 plus V2 plus V3. All are minus signs equal to 0. That's how you can apply KVL. Sigma of all the voltages equal to 0. Okay. Now you are very much clear about this KVL, voltage rise and voltage drops. Now let us do one example. I have considered a circuit like this. Okay. So in this circuit, electrical circuit, there are two sources. First one is V1, next second source is V2. And there are three resistors connected. Now how many loops are there in the circuit? So because KVL is going to be applied always through loops. There are two loops in the circuit. This is loop 1 and this is loop 2. Loop means closed path. There are two closed paths here, there are two loops here. That means we have to apply KVL 2 times. Before going to apply KVL, what we have to do? We have to assign the polarities first, then we have to calculate the voltage drops and voltage rises. So how will you assign the polarities? Because we don't know the current direction here and only chance is sources. Our only chance to assign current directions are source. We know that the current from the source always comes out from the positive terminal because source will deliver power. So I1 will always comes from source V1 from positive terminal and it will go clockwise like this. So I1 will go through R1, then through R3 and back to V1. Now coming to source 2. Source, this is also a source, that means it will deliver current. That's why I2 will come from the positive terminal and this current will move in anti-clockwise direction. It will go through R2 and R3 and back to V2. Now, in case of resistance, what are the polarities? Since I1 is coming out of the positive terminal and at this point there is no other path or there is no junction here. So the same I1 will go through R1. Since it is entering here, we have to assign positive terminal and the leaving terminal we are going to assign minus sign. Similarly, the I2 will enter into R2. Since there is no other path here to move, so the total I2 will go into resistance R2. The entering terminal will be given as plus sign and the leaving terminal will be assigned a minus sign. Now what happens at this junction? The two currents I1, I2 will sum up and it will go through the R3. So the entering terminal will be given as plus and the leaving terminal will always be assigned minus. And now at this junction, this I1 plus I2 will divide and I1 will flow in this direction and I2 will flow back to the source V2. So this is how the currents will flow in the circuit and we are going to assign the polarities. Now let us discuss about voltage rise and voltage drop. Coming to source V1. In case of source V1, the current is moving from negative to positive terminal. Since it is moving from minus to plus means voltage rise. So V1 is going to be considered as rise. In case of source 2 also, the current is moving from minus to plus. That means this is also rise. So V2 is also be considered as voltage rise. Now let us discuss about the elements. In case of resistance R1, the current is moving from positive to negative. Positive to negative means always decreasing. Decreasing means the voltage across R1, which is called VR1, is going to be drop, considered as a drop. Next, coming to the R2, it is also a drop because here the current is moving from positive sign to negative sign. Now what about R3? In case of R3 also, current is moving from plus to minus. That means R3 is also a drop. Okay, you can assign either minus sign or you can write it as a drop, whatever it may be, you have to use either one of the thing. Now If you observe clearly here, when there are sources, voltage is going to be rising. In case of passive elements like resistance, the voltage is always dropping. Okay. Now apply KVL in loop 1. So this is the first loop. Now we are going to apply KVL in this loop. How many elements are there in the first loop? So there are 3 elements. One is V1, another one is R1, another one is R3. Of course R3 is common to first loop and second loop. Since we are applying KVL in loop 1, now we are going to consider that R3 is also a part of loop 1. Since there are 3 elements, there should be 3 terms. Now what is the first voltage here? V1. So according to the definition, according to the statement, sigma V rise is equal to V drop. The voltage rises in the first loop are only V1. So sigma V rise is equals to V1. And what are the drops here? VR1 and VR3. Okay, this is plus. Because we are considering it a drop or minus sign. You have to choose any one. Because we have considered it as a drop, you have to choose it as VR3. Next, in those three expressions, what are the known values? We know only V1. We don't know about the voltage across. We don't know the value of voltage across R3. Okay. So how will you calculate those values? Again from Ohm's law. How will you calculate the voltage across the resistance R1? From Ohm's law, VR1 is I1 into R1. So what is the current flowing through this resistance R1? I1. So I1 into R1. Now what is the voltage across R3? What is the current flowing through R3? I1 plus I2. So from Ohm's law, I1 plus I2 into the resistance value R3. So I into R. Okay. Next, if you want to apply KVL in loop 2, here also there are 3 elements. So what are those 3 elements? One is V2, one is resistance R2, and the common resistor R3. In this second loop, the voltage is going to be rising across the source and it is going to be dropping, or it is going to drop across other 2 elements R2 and R3. So rise is nothing but V2 and drops are nothing but VR2 and VR3. These are the 2 drops. Already we have calculated the VR3 value previously, and the only unknown quantity here it is VR2. We know the source value V2. Again from Ohm's law we can calculate the voltage VR2 as the current flowing through the R2 is I2. So I2 into R2. So this is how you are going to apply KVL in a circuit. I think you are very much aware about this KVL. Let us do the same problem once again. So this is the given circuit. Okay. In this given circuit, there are 3 elements. So what are the known values? The known values are V1, V2, R1, R2, R3. These are the known values. Okay. So these are the known quantities. First one, you have to identify the loops. How many loops are there? Loops are nothing but closed paths where the current will flow. So here there are 2 loops. This is loop 1 and this is loop 2. So in these 2 loops I am going to apply KVL. How we are going to apply KVL? So if you want to apply KVL, you know the voltages across each and every element present in that loop. Since there are 3 elements in this loop, we have to know the voltages across each element because KVL deals with voltage only. But we know only one voltage. In the first loop, you know only one voltage, that too the source value. We don't know the voltage across R1 and R3. If you want to calculate the voltage across R1, R3, first you know the direction of current. Based upon the current direction, we are going to assign the polarities. Then we can calculate the voltages. Then we can decide the voltage is either rising or dropping. So how will you assign current? The only hope to assign current direction is source. Source will deliver power or energy. We are going to assume that the current will be also coming out of the positive terminal. Okay. So when the current is coming from the positive terminal here, the same current is going to enter into the resistance R1 also, because at this point there is no other diversions. So there is only one path this for this current I1 to flow, that is through R1 only. Now in this R1 the current is entering here, entering in this direction. That's why we are going to assign plus sign here. And the same current will leave through the second terminal. We are going to assign minus sign here. Assume that the voltage across R1 is VR1. Okay, so what are the unknown values? Assumed values VR1. So these are the assumed values or variables. First one is VR1. Next, second, this is the source V2, that is already we know value. Since it is a source, it will deliver energy. Assume that the current is coming from the positive terminal, out of the positive terminal. This I2 current will flow into R2 because there is no other diversions here. The total current I2 will flow into the resistance 2. Since it is entering from this direction, we are going to assign a positive terminal, positive polarity at this terminal, and it will leave from this terminal. That's why we are going to assign a negative polarity here. And assume that the voltage across R2 is VR2. So another variable we have assumed is VR2. We don't know these values. And now what about the current through R3? I1 is coming at this junction. This I1 current and I2 current will come into the junction. Okay, and they will meet at this junction. Now if you apply KCL, what is the current here? Sum of the currents entering is equal to sum of the current leaving. What are the currents entering here? I1 and I2 are the two currents entering. So obviously the leaving current is I1 plus I2. Okay, so sum of the currents entering is always equal to leaving the current. That's why I1 plus I2 is the current leaving into the resistor R3. But here, leaving from this node, since the current I1 plus I2 is leaving from this node, it is obviously entering into the resistor. So that's why the current entering terminal will always be assigned positive polarity. The leaving terminal will always be assigned a negative polarity. Okay. So this I1 and I2 are also assumed values only. I1 and I2 also assumed. We have assumed that a current of I1 coming from the source. And assume that the voltage across R3 is VR3. So VR3. So these are the given values and these are the assumed values. Now from these current directions, we can say that V1 is going to be considered as a rise because the current is entering from negative to positive. And what about VR1? VR1 is a drop because current is entering from positive and going to negative, plus to minus. Similarly, what about V2? V2 is rise because current is moving from minus to plus. And what about VR2? VR2 is drop because current is going from plus to minus. And finally, what is VR3? It is also drop because the current is moving from plus to minus. So now we know all the voltages, whether they are rising or dropping. Now we can simply apply KVL in each loop. So first apply KVL in loop 1. So according to the second statement, sum of voltage rises is equal to sum of voltage drops. So always use this statement, sum of voltage rises equal to sum of voltage drops. Now what are the rises and drops in the first loop? There are three elements. The first one, V1 is rising, so V1. Is there any rising drops here, rising voltages? No, only V1 is equal to. What are the drops? There are two other elements in the second loop, R1 and R3. Across R1, VR1. The VR1 is a drop. VR1 is a drop. Next, R3. So what is voltage across R3? VR3. VR3 is also a drop. So VR3. Since it is a summation, we have to add. So this is how we are going to apply KVL in loop 1. In those three variables, V1 is already we know. This is a known quantity. But what about VR1 and VR3? We don't know. VR1 and VR3 are the unknown quantities. How you are going to calculate VR1 and VR3? By applying Ohm's law. So Ohm's law, if you apply Ohm's law, from Ohm's law, VR1 is nothing but the voltage across R1. So what is the current through R1? I1, and the voltage and the resistance is R1. Similarly, how will you calculate VR3? VR3 is nothing but the voltage across R3. What is the current flowing through R3? I1 plus I2 into R3. Okay. Now you can substitute in place of VR1 and VR3 in this equation, such that the equation will be in terms of only I1 and I2. Like this, you can apply voltage KVL in the loop, and you can now calculate the unknown quantities by using Ohm's law. Now I will ask you to try to apply KVL in the second loop, just like this on your own. This is all about KVL.